This is the second video of a three-part series, the OS-27 Frontier Sawmill build. In this video, I continue the step-by-step building, highlighting areas where I had trouble and sharing the challenges faced throughout the build. Hopefully this will help others, and I hope you enjoy the video. In the previous video, we had built the two track sections, the carriage assembly, and we had laid out the cinder blocks for the track to sit on. So this is the first time the tracks actually sit on top of the cinder blocks, and as you can see, there's nothing really level yet, and we're going to have a lot of work to get this thing leveled up. So I figured we wouldn't have to do too much with the cinder blocks. Since the feet are totally adjustable, we can just have those lay on the ground, and we'll adjust those feet up and down to get the track to be level. So here I'm just trying to get a measurement so I can lay the track so it runs at least parallel with the building. Okay, so this is the second track section. The nice thing about these track sections are they're light and easy to move around. Here I'm carrying the bunk, a log dog, and the feet for the center track section. It also get the track joining support plates and the carriage retaining track, which will hold the two sections together. Here I'm finishing the installation of the log dog. So from our previous video, the log dog is what creates the pressure against the log rest to keep the log from rocking as you're milling down it. Okay, I want to point out here, when I was assembling the carriage retaining track, these alignment plates that go on the inside here, where the arrow is up here, they weren't in my boxing, so when I unpacked it, I couldn't find them. I had to reorder them, but when I reordered them, I didn't have any problem with Frontier. I mean, they sent them right away. I had them within 3 days, and I went ahead and put them on there. But it's critical that you have these, because that's what holds the two tracks together and helps keep it level. And when I say level, I mean this plate helps keep the two angles aligned on the top for where the carriage rolls across. That way there is no misalignment here between the two tracks, and then the carriage just smoothly runs across them. The yellow flat bar that I'm working with now is the carriage retaining track, and there's a bracket that gets bolted onto the carriage assembly, and the two pieces work together to keep the carriage assembly from skipping track as you're pushing it down the track assembly here. There are 4 of these carriage retaining tracks, 2 on each side. Here's a good view of the two track sections coming together. And see how the carriage retaining tracks, everything's two separate pieces. So without these brackets on the inside, I mean, it almost stays as two pieces besides the bottom plate that goes on it. Even the page in the manual places it in the leveling section. And as I had mentioned before, this is one of the pieces that I was missing out of the crate. Here's a better image of the bottom joining plate, which holds the two track sections together. Here you can see the two center joining plates have been installed, the center bunk is in place, and both tracks have been bolted together. Now I'm going around adjusting the feet to make sure that they touch the cinder blocks. Okay, so now it's time to get this carriage loaded up and get it outside so we can place it on the track. It's supposed to be a two-man job, but as you can see there's only one of me, so I'm going to try the best I can to get this out and install it onto the track. So here I'm going to go ahead and use blocking to get this up and off the ground so I can get a hand dolly underneath it. Okay, slowly it's coming up off the ground. So here you can see I'm struggling back and forth to get this thing blocked up off the ground. So at this point I've decided I probably needed a second pair of hands. So I grabbed this car jack and hopefully it'll assist me in getting this thing blocked up and moved to where I need it to be. Right from the get-go you can see this made it a heck of a lot easier to get this thing up in the air. Here I'm taking the lower frame assemblies, I'm going to slide them into the guide blocks. And my thinking was that I would just lift it all up and it'd be one piece and ready to go. But that's not the case. These lower frame assemblies keep sliding down, and so this whole thing was just a disaster to begin with. So after messing around with it, I found out that that's not going to work, and as you can see they're sitting in the background. I'm going to go ahead and just move forward with getting the dolly. So in the future, I mean, if anybody builds this, I mean, go ahead and you can't put those lower frame assemblies on until you get the saw head in place to be ready to be tilted up. So now I'm using the jack to lift it back up and remove the blocking so it's sitting directly on top of the dolly. So here we move back outside and we're going to go ahead and start the leveling process. I use a 4-foot level and move down the bunks and across the track section. In the booklet they show stringing a string from either end and then using a nut and going down and using the nut to make sure that it touches the string all the way down, but I find that the level works just as well for me. So here's that page showing exactly how they use the string to level it, and they tell you about how to go about using the nut and checking for levelness. And also here they also call out tightening all the nuts down. So I do that, and I go around after I get the track level and I tighten all the nuts to the track and the bunks, and everything's tightened up after this point of leveling it. So here I went and cut some of this 2x6, and I'm going to place it underneath the feet because, as you can see, as it runs towards the left here, it gets narrower and the feet are crowded. I mean, I couldn't take it down any lower, so I needed to get it up in the air more so I could continue leveling across the 17 foot here. So from here I spend some time leveling it. I'm going to go ahead and play some music, and you can watch how I go around and level this track out so it's going to cut nice and flat.
In a cozy blue cafe where the light softly glows, I sit and recall my country trip memories flowing. The fields stretch wide and green under the starry sky so deep. Those hills and rivers, they ring in my heart. Won't you help with every sip of coffee? I taste that distant breeze, whispering secrets of the land where my soul truly feels these country roads. Take me home to the place where I belong, under the old oak tree where time stands still in song. Pastures wide and golden under the moon's soft glow. Cows graze slow as time slows down in that peaceful flow. The river winds its way through the twilight's gentle embrace. Every step, every turn brings back memories that won't erase. With every sip of coffee, I taste that distant breeze, whispering secrets of the land where my soul truly feels these country roads. Take me home to the place where I belong, under the old oak tree where time stands still in song. Stars above, they light my way through the night, through the day. Memories of you, they stay in my heart, they'll never fade away. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong, under the old oak tree where time stands still.
So here I'm going to go ahead, after I got it all leveled, I'm starting to tighten up the track, and I'll go ahead and speed this part up a little bit.
The place where I belong, under the old oak tree where time stands still in song.
Here I'm going around tightening up the carriage retaining track, and I sped this part up too. Okay, earlier in the video we had propped the saw head up on the blocks and got the dolly underneath it, and now here I'm rolling it out to the tracks. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Sigh of relief there. So I've probably taken these track stops off 2 or 3 times now, and it shows in the manual when you build the track section that you go ahead and place these on. But then when you go ahead and do the carriage retaining track, it uses the 2 bolt holes for these stops. And now, again, I'm taking them off because I need to place the saw head onto the saw, and they can't be there when we do this. Okay, now we have the stops removed, and we can go ahead and move this saw head into position. Here I have the blocking that I used to block the saw head up in the air to get the dolly underneath it. And I'm going to use the same blocking to get the dolly out from underneath it. So here I go again with these lower frame assemblies, and there's a couple things wrong here. For one thing, they're not on the right side, and they're not even the right direction. You'll see as I go through this. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit and show you how much I struggled with this, and then in the end it just didn't even work out. I had to start all over. Okay, I'm just going to add some music here, and you can kind of watch me struggle through this ordeal right here.
I feel it building now, I feel it coming close. Repeat every word you say, repeat every word I know. Looking at you, looking for answers, looking at me, I'm holding my anger. Face to face, as I'm moving, face to face, tension growing. My crown won't let it break. Oh, my crown, you won't take me down. Say what you want, I hear every sound.
So at this point here, I've realized that the saw head needs to be turned around, and I go ahead and start blocking up to put the dolly back underneath the saw head.
Counting your words, counting my breathing, counting what's left, nothing repeating. Face to face, nothing spoken. Face to face, lines unbroken. My crown won't let it break. Oh, my crown, you won't take me down. Say what you want, I hear every sound. Say what you want.
Okay, so finally we got the saw turned around in the position it's supposed to be in, and I think the dog senses these things because every time something goes wrong or something changes, here he comes around.
Tell me again, tell me again, tell me again. Can't walk away, can't walk away.
Here you can see I flipped the lower frame assembly and preparing it to be placed onto the saw head. So at this point you can see I'm just getting a little frustrated and I'm tired of using this hand lift to jack this thing up and down, and I just go ahead and take control and move it into position by hand, taking brute force. Now that I have the saw moved into position and the bottom assemblies onto the saw head, next thing is I got to raise the front of this thing to get it onto the track, and it's kind of difficult because you can't lift by the saw head because each of those bottom assemblies are independent, and you just lift the saw head and the bottom assemblies don't even raise, so I have to block them up in order to even get it close to the top of this track. So in the manual they consider this method 2, which is walking the saw head onto the rails here, and it gives you a 4-step process here. I'm going to go ahead and you can kind of look at the page here, but this is the method I use to get the saw onto the track. So from here you can see it's what I call teetering. I just move back and forth from one side to the other, and eventually I just get frustrated and have to take over.
Neon buzzing like a warning sign. Dust on my boots, trouble on my mind. Band's too loud, but I came for the sound of something real when the walls come down. I laugh too big, I talk too fast. Every good thing I've had don't last, but you're looking at me like you don't mind. The sparks in the
So earlier in the video when we were putting the track together and leveling it, it had me go around and tighten all the bolts. Well, at this point I have to go and loosen them because the width of the track and the width of the bases here aren't the same. So here I go back to double work again.
careful start, yeah, I burn bright in the dark. Hold my beer and hold my heart. Pick up headlights in the gravel drive. Every bad decision makes me feel alive. I don't whisper when I want something true, and right now, baby, I want you. I got a past like a ballroom tab, a little too long, a little too bad. But if you're still standing here this close, you already know what you're getting into. I don't back down, I don't retreat. If love's a gamble, I play for keeps. So hold my beer and hold my heart. I'm about to tear this night apart. If I'm gonna fall, I'm going hard. No halfway, no careful start. Yeah, I burn bright in the dark.
Finally, we have put the saw head onto the track, and I think we're making progress at this point.
If I love, there's no controlling. I'm a storm you can't outrun, but I'll shine when the damage is done. So if you're steady, if you're strong, if you're the one who stays when it goes wrong, and hold my beer and hold my heart. I'm about to give you every part. If I'm gonna fall, I'm falling hard. No halfway, no guarded arms. Yeah, I'm on fire, every spark. Hold my beer.
Now that we have the carriage on top of the track, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just tighten the bolts and move the carriage down as we go. That should align the track and the carriage together, and we should be good.
And still here, and I don't hide it. Last call ringing through the dark. You held my beer. Now hold my heart.
Okay, track stops back on, and I think we're ready to move forward with this to get the top part of this carriage assembly put together. So that pretty much ends my day. What I do here is I go ahead and I clean up, and when I come back on here, it'll be the next day in the morning. You can see I have my jacket back on and everything, and this is when I get started to finish the top section of this carriage assembly. But for now, we're going to do a little cleanup, and we'll listen to some music. So we've reached the point where we can install the carriage retaining brackets, and they're a pretty important piece because they keep the carriage from jumping track as you're pushing it down the rails. So now we're ready to start assembling the top part of this saw. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to begin with the winch end plates. There's an operator side and then there's the non-operator side. And they call them winch plates because that's actually what the cable attaches to on a pulley system that raises and lowers the saw head. So here you can see one of the pulleys on the underside of the plate, and it came pre-assembled like this.
I should have known it all this time. You built your walls with borrowed truth, and every word was another lie. You swore that I could lean on you, but I was falling by myself. You watched me break in quiet rooms while you were somewhere else. You held the match behind your back and let me blame the flames on fate. Now I'm wide awake and I see you clear.
So here we're installing the carriage lifting plates, and this would have been method 1 on how to load the carriage onto the rails. But of course I didn't have anything that could lift it like that, so we used method 2.
Never felt the pain. I'm done drowning in your blame. I'm walking out. You're just a shadow in my glass veins. You twist the knife and call it love. You bend the truth until it breaks. You only cared for who I was.
So now we're installing what they call the winch shaft cover gussets, and there's 2 required.
Hold the pieces close, but I was bleeding through my hands. You never planned to stay with me. You only stayed to watch me stand. You left the guilt inside my chest, but I won't wear your weight again. Now I'm wide awake and I see you clear. A stranger in the ashes standing here. I gave you.
And here I'm installing what they call the vertical guide gussets. There's 2 of these required also.
You never felt the pain. I'm done drowning in your blame. I'm walking out. You're just a shadow in my glass veins. One last breath, I'm letting go. You don't get to haunt me anymore. Your voice is just an echo now, a ghost behind a closing door. Now I'm wide awake and I'm not yours. I won't be broken like I was before. I gave you.
Here we're installing the winch drum adjustment and bracket tensioner, and this is the actual brake for the saw head to keep it from falling down. So the last piece on this build is the winch shaft cover, which goes across the whole back of the saw head here, and that will pretty much conclude this portion of the build. This is only part 2 of 3, so there is a third part. So the third video will complete the build of the OS-27 Frontier Sawmill, And there's quite a bit of assembly left here to do in preparation before I cut that first log. I go back a few things, and there's a lot of pieces that I still got to put on the carriage before we even get started. So thanks for tuning in.